Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 191 of Hobby Quick Hits. As always, glad to be back with this program. Today's episode I entitled Conflict Resolution. And, you know, we have a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but we have enough of animosity right in the hobby. Towards groups, towards manufacturers, towards any kind of hobby entity, depending on what's going on. Some of it's probably justified, some of it is embellished or exaggerated. And today I'm going to talk about, how do we deal with when we're angry at a company or we're not happy with something in the hobby. And I took a course recently for my job as a teaching assistant that was called, dealing with, conflict resolution and how to diffuse and approach situations. And obviously the course I took is for real person interaction in a school setting, but it also can be applied in any workforce. Well, while I was doing it, I said, man, a lot of this can be applied to some of the things we see in the hobby. And so that's what this episode is going to tackle, and hope you enjoy it.
Hi, this is Pat Hughes, Cubs announcer, coming to you from the Sports Card Shop in beautiful New Buffalo, Michigan. The Gocher family has built an incredible place here for collectors to buy, sell, and trade cards and memorabilia. Be sure to stop by and let them show you around. TheSportsCardShop.com, connecting sports, athletes, the hobby, and collectors around the world.
Hi, this is Alan Pinkett, and I'm here to tell you the Gocher family has done it again. They've just opened up the Sport Card Shop in downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, and it is awesome. If you're a collector, you need to check this place out. Tell them Alan sent you and get a free gift on your first visit.
All right, let's go over the new releases for the next 2 weeks, see what is coming out. Starting with November 6th, we have 2023-24 Panini Impeccable Soccer, 24 Panini National Treasures Collegiate Football, 2024 Topps Stadium Club Baseball, one of my personal favorites. Also on the 6th, Upper Deck Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, 2024-25 Upper Deck Series 1, Hockey Blasters, and Retail Tins. Let's move to the 8th, 2023-24 Panini Revolution Basketball Winter Tin. Same day, 2024 Panini Select WWE. Same day, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, various versions of that. 2024 Topps MLS Superstars Soccer Blaster, also on the 8th, Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarter Century Bonanza. Let's move to the 13th of November, 2024, Panini Impeccable Baseball, 2024, Topps Chrome Update Series Baseball, Regulars and Megas, 23-24, Topps Chrome UEFA Euro Soccer. Staying on the 13th, 2024, Upper Deck Marvel Studios Series 2 Cinematic, 2022-23 Upper Deck Premier Hockey. Also now moving to the 15th, 2024 Leaf Metal Blue Mountain State, 2024 Panini Donruss Football Winter Tin, 2024 Panini Prism Collegiate Draft Football. Also on the 15th, Pokemon Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, the 2024 Collector Chest Tin, the Charizard EX League Battle Deck, and the Grand Adventure Collection. Also the Ogre Pond EX Premium Collection. Closing out the 15th, we have 2024 Press Premium Baseball, 2024 Topps Holiday Baseball Megas, and Tins. That is your releases for the next 2 weeks. Happy ripping. Enjoy.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
And find out. All right, not a super noisy news week, but definitely some things to talk about. Let's start with the World Series fallout, or kind of the aftermath, or just kind of wrapping it up in a bow. Obviously, you probably know the Dodgers won 4-1. The Yankees kind of gave that last game. They sort of had it in their grasp and let it slip out. Let's talk about some of the players, right, and some of the hobby repercussions. No one will argue that Aaron Judge is not a great player, but it seems like in big moments or in the postseason, he's definitely a different type player, and he's starting to get that sort of label as maybe not big game Aaron. Did not have a good series. Ohtani actually did not play well. Did get hurt, I think, in game 3 or 4. But I think he was quiet as well. And I think it goes to show you, like, how great these teams are, that these teams' best players can have a bad World Series and still, the team does okay, especially obviously on the Dodgers side, who helped themselves, right? I think Juan Soto is going to have a bidding war for his services, hoping my Mets are the winners there, but had a 41 home run year, performed well in the second season, and just going to be a lot of people who will want Juan Soto on their team. Freddie Freeman had an incredible World Series, and by most accounts, he's really a great guy, very likable, not a big, not a trash talker, just does his job. And it's funny because to me, he's always been a great player and a great hitter. And so the World Series, I think, is just going to, more people are going to be in on that, right? The cat's sort of coming out of the bag. My view of him may not have changed from his great World Series performance, but there's going to be other people who maybe don't follow the game as closely, who look at his stuff, and I expect an uptick there. Walker Buehler played better in the postseason than he did in the regular season as he recovers from Tommy John surgery. Wound up closing the game out in Game 5 as the closer for the moment. He's a starting pitcher. But it made me think, like, if he, maybe there's a role for him as a closer or late innings guy if he has sort of the record he did during the regular season next year, where he struggles at different points and whatnot. So something to just throw out there. But that'll wrap up the World Series. Speaking of Ohtani, his 50th home run ball, which entered him into the 50-50 club as the only member of that club, as we all know, was sold on Golden for $4.4 million. We now know who won it and what they kind of want to do with it. The winner of that Ohtani ball is a company called UC Capital. They are a Taiwanese day trading company, and they'd like to, the ball is going to Taiwan, not back to Taiwan, but to Taiwan, and they want to display it somehow publicly. Now, whether that means charging admission or at an existing museum, we don't know all the details, but they want it for public display. Whether that's for profit or not for profit remains to be determined. eBay is launching a new 24-hour auction program. Will be starting every week on Tuesday nights, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's called Game Time Gets, and it's about pro basketball milestones. All auctions run for 24 hours, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Tuesday nights, and all auctions start at 24 cents and then go up from there. So be interesting concept there. Might it be the start of something we see more of? We'll have to stay tuned there. Not new news, but because the show runs every 2 weeks, we don't get everything as it breaks all the time. Fanatics canceled their Orlando show. That comes off the heels of canceling their Pittsburgh Fanatics show. And, rumor has it that lack of ticket sales and dealer setup sales led into that, although they cited, at least for Orlando, they cited hurricane fallout as the reason for canceling. So I guess my only thing, listen, it's their show. It is what it is. A little more transparency. If it is because of lack of sales, maybe be honest about it and or readjust your pricing structure if that's the case. But blaming the hurricane when an event, here's the other thing we came to find out, event in the same convention center a week before the Fanatics show was supposed to go on went off without a hitch. So, take what you will from that. And, I know we don't talk about athletes passing away every time it happens, but this one a little close to home, at least for me. Rest in peace to Fernando Valenzuela, who passed away age 63, I believe, World Series week as well. And actually the Dodgers had their victory parade on his birthday. But rest in peace, Fernando. For me, 1981, when Fernando Mania was in full effect, was, I was really getting into the hobby as a 9-year-old. Introduced at 7, but really started getting into it more and had more cards. And Fernando, while I wasn't a Dodger fan, Fernando was a big part of my collecting at 9 years old during Fernando Mania, and then obviously subsequent years. And you can't talk about that era without talking about Fernando Valenzuela. So rest in peace, condolences to the Valenzuela and Dodger families. Today's topic, hobby conflict resolution. And as I've mentioned in the past, some of the topics that I use for this hobby podcast come from either real life scenarios or even my work life scenario, which is as a teaching assistant in the special education department. And this one comes from that, right? Conflict resolution. But obviously I'm going to apply it to the hobby, right? And conflict resolution can mean a lot of things hobby-wise, right? We complain about something a company's going to do, doing or going to do, or we complain about a mistake they make, or conflict resolution might be a deal that someone didn't hold their end up of the deal. So I'm going to sort of apply some of my school stuff onto the hobby side, if you will. One of the things we're taught, right, is to identify the issue and the problem. So it's easy to say, like, Panini sucks, Fanatic sucks, Top sucks, Upper Deck sucks. Real easy, right? But why is it? Why do you feel that way? What is it that they're doing or not doing that has earned, that distinction from you, rather than just make a blanket statement? Now, that's obviously your opinion. You don't have to necessarily apologize for it, but your argument's better made when you actually have specifics to why you feel that way. And again, I think you owe it. If you're going to say someone is bad, why is that the case? And then, what part do we play in that conflict, right? I'm not trying to get any company or person off the hook, but, what are we doing, or as a group or individually, where this is continuing to happen, or it's happening? Why is wax so expensive? Well, probably because, people, buyers, maybe not myself per se, but enough people are paying the prices to justify the companies asking for it, right? If we don't like the price and no one buys it, that price will come down, or future SRPs will be lower. So we need to identify, kind of the role we play in the problem. And I don't want to say in all cases, but I don't think in all cases it's 100% a company's fault, right? We have some sort of ownership of that. And just the same, right? What part of the problem is us or me? What part do I play, meaning you or me, in resolving the problem? What can we do to resolve the problem, right? It's easy to say this stinks, or that's terrible, or they suck. But what can we do to get that message more than saying it, right? Maybe not buying a product, maybe not submitting to a company anymore grading-wise if you don't like them. Be part of the problem. Maybe that's writing a letter or an email to the company, kind of, hey, this is how I feel. What are you going to do about it? And I know customer service, especially during the COVID period, really took a back seat. How do I best communicate with the other party, right? I just kind of talked about that. Whether it be an email or phone call to customer service. If you're in a deal that's gone bad, have you gone to all the lengths to try to contact the other person to make it right? So, have you done all you can to get it rectified or that message sent? Are you calm and respectful? Sometimes reacting when we're fired up or angry is not the best time to do it. And listen, I'm guilty of that myself. I'm not saying it's I've done that before. But you don't get the best results when you're angry and loud and resentful, right? Taking a deep breath, sleeping on it. I'm not saying you don't feel the same way, but you've kind of, calmed down, brought yourself back to baseline, and now you can be more tactful, right? Tact goes a lot further than just saying, you suck, you're terrible, fix this, you're in blah, 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 blank, Not that might not be true, but the old saying, right? You catch a lot more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And trust me, it's true, because I've used both honey in both vinegar, and honey works a lot better. So sometimes taking a step back, kind of a breather, calm down, and then attacking the issue, right? What is the outcome that we are seeking, right? Sometimes we just get mad and when you ask, like, well, what do you want to happen? Sometimes we don't have the answer to that, right? Well, that's half the battle. Like, what do we want to see? What is the resolution we want to see? What is the outcome we're striving for, right? You can get mad at somebody or an entity, and what if they say, hey, what do you want us to do? And then you're like, right? So you have to have sort of in your own mind a resolution or an outcome that you're hoping happens. Now, that doesn't mean it will happen, but that's sort of half the battle, right? How do I best communicate my concern to the other party? What is the best way to do it? Is it in person? If that's a possibility, I always feel that's the best way, right? You got all sorts of forms of communications, right? Direct message, emails, social media. They're not always the best ways. You got to find the best way. And I've found probably the best way is to try to do it quietly before I put somebody on blast, right? Things can happen. Maybe you don't get a card. Maybe it's a card deal and they haven't shipped or they ship late, and before you go out there and publicly put them on blast, maybe something happened with their family. Maybe there was an emergency. I've had a card not shipped, and before I went and put that person on public blast, said they're bad, don't deal with them, I contacted. And in one case in specific, I remember the gentleman telling me that his son was rushed to the emergency room and almost passed away. And so him sending my cards, not at the top of the, and obviously so, right? And it was true. And so I told him, like, get that, obviously family first when you can. I hope, I'll pray for you. I hope everything works out. And then send that card. And he did. And thankfully, in that case, the son was okay after a medical scare, right? Don't always assume that someone's trying to rip you off. Now, that might be the case, and I hope it never is. But don't make that assumption, because it may not always be right. And, so you want to I get it. We're entitled to our opinion. We're entitled to get upset and mad, right? You never should apologize for your feelings and where they come from. But there's a way, sometimes taking a day and letting it sink in or calming down, getting back to baseline. Again, this is all be like work employment stuff or job stuff, but this also applies to the hobby. And how many times you see on social media, so-and-so stinks or so-and-so is that, right? And without really any reason given. It's just sort of a blanket statement. And the message gets lost, right? Your argument's made better when you provide details. Why is this? Why do you feel this way? What's going on, right? And sometimes taking a deep breath, catching our breath, sleeping on it, letting cooler heads prevail, calming down, that can make a big difference in how we approach. And again, using tact, being respectful, will get further with an individual, with a company. Believe me, I've been on both sides. And, if someone comes at me angry or someone comes at me respectful, which one am I going to hear? Which one am I going to listen to more? Right? It makes sense. Put yourself in that place, right? Someone's yelling and screaming at you, or someone's saying, hey, your name, this happened, I'm not happy about it, what can we do, what's going on? Or they just say, hey, Jim, you're terrible, I hate you, fix this, you're a scammer, your company stinks, you're a ripoff, that sort of thing. One of those works better, right? And again, hopefully you never have nothing to complain about. Well, we know that's not how life. So, hobby, conflict resolution, whether that's on an individual deal or we're mad at a company or product, right? I think there's a way to go about it where that message gets better received and maybe solutions and positive outcomes can come up. All right. Thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/SportsCardNationPodcast/. Twitter, we are at SportsCardNati1, so it's SportsCard NATI1. Instagram, at SportsCardNationPodcast, or you can email the show hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.